She walked into the room like she owned it, as usual, head held high, hair curled to careless perfection, and that ridiculous scent of vanilla and arrogance trailing behind her like perfume made from ego. Camila Torres. The girl who had made my life hell for the last 2 years. The girl who smirked when I got AB on a paper and rolled her eyes when I spoke in class. The girl who used to call me charity case behind my back until I made sure no one laughed along anymore. And the girl who, God help me, had a laugh that I knew by heart, a laugh that lived in the back of my skull, like a song I couldn't delete. I hated her, and, by some cruel twist of fate, we shared not just the same major, but practically the same academic trajectory. Honors English, political theory, ethics of modern governance. Every single class. It was like the universe enjoyed watching me suffer. Nice shirt, she muttered under her breath as she slid into the seat next to mine, because of course she would sit beside me. Assigned seats. Thanks, Professor Grant. Did Goodwill have a sale I missed? I smiled tightly, not even looking at her. Thanks. I was trying to match your personality. Cheap and outdated. She laughed. A real laugh. Not mocking. Not cruel. Just amused. Like I was some kind of circus act she paid admission for. God, you're bitter, she said. And you're clingy. You could have sat literally anywhere else in this room, but no, here we are again. Me, you, and your perfume that smells like a bakery exploded. You're welcome, she said with a wink, crossing one leg over the other and pulling out her laptop. I stared ahead, jaw clenched, nails biting into my palm. I wasn't going to let her get under my skin. Not again. But then she leaned toward me, voice low, like a secret wrapped in silk. You know, I actually like it when you get like this. All sharp and cold. It's cute. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $sign icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you. I looked at her, really looked at her. Brown eyes lined with gold flecks. Perfect skin. Lipstick a shade too bold for class, but somehow it worked on her. It always worked on her. You're sick, I said. A little, she replied, smirking. The lecture started, thank God, and I focused hard on the screen in front of me, ignoring the magnetic pull beside me. It was always like this. Hate, banter, spark, silence. Repeat. I didn't know when it started. I just knew it had never stopped. The worst part was that she was smart. So fucking smart. And competitive. If I raised my hand, she raised hers higher. If I got an A, she'd retake the paper just to get an A+. She once told a professor I plagiarized a paragraph from a think piece, which I didn't, but the investigation stayed on my record for months. That's the kind of person she was. Or maybe that's the kind of person I thought she was. The truth was Messier. I knew something she didn't know. Something no one knew. And it changed everything. It started 2 weeks ago, in the library. Late. Too late for anyone to be around except for the desperate and the brokenhearted. I was both. My headphones were in, music low, just background noise as I scrolled through archived student files for my thesis on institutional legacy and student activism. And then I found her name, Camila Torres. File ID 20873A. Restricted. But not to me. As an assistant to Dr. Avery, I had clearance. I opened it. I told myself it was curiosity. It wasn't. I was obsessed. And what I found made my blood run cold. Her scholarship was under review. Not because of grades, hers were immaculate, but because of a funding reallocation error that no one had caught until now. An error that traced back to a misfiled form. A form that could get her tuition revoked. A form I could delete. Or fix. Or ignore. I stared at the screen for a long time. She was a Torres. Untouchable. Rich girl royalty. But the file told a different story. Her address wasn't some gated community like I'd assumed. It was a tiny apartment 2 blocks from campus. Her financials were heavily redacted, but I could see the pattern. Single mother. Low income. Maximum aid. And suddenly I saw her differently. Saw every expensive-looking outfit as smoke and mirrors. Every perfect paper as survival. Every smug look as armor. And I couldn't walk away. So I fixed it. I accessed the system and corrected the error. Backdated the form. Submitted it with an anonymous signature. And no one would ever know.
She would know.
But I did. And now, every time she looked at me with those mocking eyes, I wanted to scream. You think I'm nothing, but I saved you. You hate me, but I helped you. You don't even know. But I do. You're staring again, she said under her breath, eyes still on the professor. Do you like what you see? I blinked. God, you're insufferable. And yet, she said, turning slightly, you never look away. I clenched my jaw and faced forward.
This couldn't keep happening.
I needed space. I needed her gone. I needed her not to smile at me like that. But fate wasn't done torturing me. Because when class ended and we walked out and I was seconds from bolting in the opposite direction, she turned to me with an expression I'd never seen before. Something softer. Hesitant.
Hey, she said.
There's a party this Friday. You should come. I blinked. Did you hit your head? It's a journalism thing, she said. Everyone will be there. It's not. I'm not inviting you because I like you or anything.
It's just, well.
You're not a total idiot. Might be fun to watch you try and dance. So you want me there to mock me?
Yes, she said.
Then, quieter. No. I don't know. She stepped closer. Just come. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. But when Friday came, I found myself standing in front of a house glowing with LED lights and vibrating with music. I hadn't planned to go, but I was already inside her gravity. And part of me, some small, reckless part, wanted to fall. The music throbbed like a heartbeat as I stepped into the house, lights flashing red and gold across too many faces I didn't want to see. Bodies swayed in lazy rhythm, beer sloshed in plastic cups, and somewhere, someone had already thrown up near the kitchen door. Typical college party. I should have turned around. I told myself I would. That I'd walk in, glance around, and leave before anyone noticed. But I knew that was a lie the second I caught a glimpse of her across the room.
Camila.
Sitting on the arm of a couch like she was carved out of starlight and smoke, drink in hand, head tilted back as she laughed at something someone said. Her hair shimmered under the lights, that same impossible shade of midnight brown that made me want to hate her and touch her in the same breath. She hadn't seen me yet.
Good.
I needed a second. Or maybe a shot. Preferably both. I made my way to the kitchen, avoiding eye contact, grabbing the first half-decent bottle I saw, and pouring a shot that burned all the way down. I'd barely set the cup down when a voice behind me said, "Didn't think you'd actually show." I turned. She was leaning in the doorway now, hands in the pockets of her jacket, that signature smirk playing on her lips like a dare. "Didn't think you actually wanted me to," I shot back. "Touché," she said, stepping closer. "But I'm glad you're here." I blinked. Didn't know you were capable of saying something that didn't drip with sarcasm. "Oh, don't worry," she said, her voice low, velvet over steel. "I've got plenty of that too. But tonight I'm feeling generous." She reached out and brushed a strand of hair from my face like it was the most natural thing in the world. I froze. Every cell in my body screamed at me to step back, to say something cruel, something sharp. But I didn't move. I didn't speak. And she didn't stop looking at me like she could see through every layer I'd built to keep her out. "Come on," she said after a moment, pulling me toward the living room. "You owe me a dance." I didn't agree to that. "Doesn't matter." Her hand found mine, warm, confident, infuriatingly gentle, and dragged me into the pulse of music and movement. I hated dancing. I hated being watched. But for some reason with her, surrounded by people who didn't matter, I let go. Just a little. Just enough. We moved in sync, her body close to mine but not touching, her eyes locked on mine like we were speaking a language only we knew. There was heat in that space between us. Not just attraction, but something more dangerous. Something that crackled like static, waiting to ignite. I turned, letting the music pull me deeper, and for a second I forgot who we were. I forgot the history, the bitterness, the endless back and forth of venom and banter. I was just a girl dancing with another girl, and I didn't want it to end. But of course it did. "There you are," someone shouted, shoving through the crowd.
A guy. Tall.
Blonde. Grinning like he'd just won the lottery. "Camila, I've been looking for you." She stiffened. Just slightly. "Hey, Nate. Who's your friend?" he asked, looking me up and down. "She's no one," Camila said too quickly. I felt it like a slap. No one. I pulled away, heart slamming in my chest, and turned before either of them could stop me. I didn't care that the music drowned out my footsteps. I didn't care that I probably looked like an idiot. I just needed air. Outside, the night was cooler than expected, the breeze sharp against my skin. I found a spot on the porch steps, sat down, and let my hands shake. Why did I care? Why did I let her pull me in like that, only to throw me away with 2 stupid words? She wasn't mine. She'd never be mine. I saved her without her knowing, and she still made me feel invisible. "Hey." Her voice again. "Of course. I didn't mean that." I didn't turn. Didn't mean which part? Calling me no one, or pretending I mattered for 5 seconds. You do matter.
Sure.
As a punching bag, or a distraction, or someone to beat on a test. She stepped around me, crouching slightly, so she could meet my eyes. Hers were softer now, almost regretful. "That guy?
Nate?
He's from my mom's church. She's trying to set me up with him." I panicked. You have no idea how hard it is sometimes to just be seen for who I actually am. "Try being me," I muttered. "Try being the one no one invites, the one people laugh at behind their hands, the one who only got here because she begged for a scholarship and works 2 jobs just to afford books." Her face twisted. "Is that what you think of me? That I'm just some spoiled brat? Isn't that what you want people to think?" Silence. "I used to be rich," she said quietly. "We lost everything when my dad left. We moved here so my mom could work 2 jobs, and I could pretend nothing changed. That I was still the girl with the perfect life. But it's all bullshit. I'm on full aid. I'm months behind on tuition. And every day I wake up wondering when they'll realize I don't belong here either." My breath caught. She didn't know.
She still didn't know.
That without me, she'd already be gone. "So, why treat me like crap?" I asked. "Why make me your enemy?" She looked away. "Because you're the only one who sees me. And I didn't know how to handle that." That hit harder than I expected. I swallowed hard. "Then handle it better." Her eyes lifted to mine. "Can I try?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Try."
And she did.
She sat beside me on those steps, her shoulder brushing mine. No snide comments. No arrogance. Just silence. And something almost gentle hanging in the air between us. "You really hate me?" she asked after a while. "Sometimes," I said. "But not always." She smiled. A small, real one. I can work with that. And for the first time, I let myself smile back. Monday came faster than it should have, like the weekend had slipped through my fingers without asking permission. I hadn't seen Camila since the party. Not in person, anyway, but her presence lingered in my head like an echo I couldn't shake. Every glance at my phone, every skipped heartbeat in the hallway, every second spent walking into class with my spine tense and my mouth dry was painted with the anticipation of seeing her again. And then there she was, already in her seat when I entered, pretending to be absorbed in her notes, but visibly stiffening the moment I walked past. I took my usual seat beside her, and for a few breaths, we sat in a silence that felt heavier than any insult we'd ever thrown at each other. Then finally she spoke. "You didn't text." I didn't look at her. "Neither did you." I didn't want to seem desperate. I turned, met her eyes, and I didn't want to be disappointed. Something flickered across her face. Guilt? Sadness? Fear? I didn't know. I wasn't used to reading real emotions on her. "Do you regret coming?" she asked. I thought about the music, the way her hand fit into mine, the quiet apology on the porch, the moment our bodies had almost touched. I thought about the ache in my chest I didn't want to name. "No," I said. "I don't." Her shoulder brushed mine, soft and unintentional, but it made my whole body go still. "Neither do I," she said quietly. That day, neither of us raised our hands during the lecture. We didn't try to outdo each other, didn't fight for attention or eye roll through every word the professor said. We just listened, side by side, like something had cracked open and neither of us was ready to close it yet. After class, she waited for me. That had never happened before. "Wanna grab coffee?" she asked, like it wasn't a loaded question. Like it didn't sound exactly like a date. "Sure," I said, even though I had a shift in 2 hours and a paper I hadn't started. Her smile was small but radiant, and I felt like a fool for wanting to see it again already. We walked to a small cafe off campus that smelled like cinnamon and ink-stained poetry. It wasn't her usual scene, which made me like it more. She ordered something absurd, hazelnut oat milk latte with cinnamon foam, and I just got a black coffee. We sat by the window, and for a moment, we didn't speak. Just sipped. Just watched the world move around us like we were in a snow globe that no one dared to shake. "I keep thinking about that night," she said finally, voice low. "Me too," I said. "I don't usually invite people to those parties. Not the ones who matter." I blinked. "Do I matter?" She nodded. "More than I know what to do with." I didn't know how to respond. So, I didn't. I just stared at her lips as she took another sip of her drink and wondered how they'd taste without cinnamon. "You're not who I thought you were," she said. "And you're exactly who I thought you were," I replied. She laughed. "Is that a compliment?" "It is now." Her gaze shifted, serious again. "You were right, you know, at the party. About the masks. I've been playing a part so long, I forgot where the performance ends." "Maybe that's why I hated you," I said. "You reminded me of everything I couldn't fake. And maybe I hated you because you never had to." That stung. But it was fair. We both lived in invisible wars, hers built on pretending, mine built on fighting. Maybe we weren't enemies. Maybe we were just reflections, shaped by opposite kinds of pain. She reached across the table, fingers grazing mine. I didn't pull away. "What happens now?" she asked. "We go back to hating each other?" "Maybe," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Or maybe we try something else." Like, I leaned in, like not pretending we don't want the same thing. Her eyes darkened, and for one terrifying second I thought she'd pull back, laugh it off, call me delusional. But instead, she leaned closer. Close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in her eyes. Close enough to feel her breath against my cheek. "Do you want me?" she whispered. "I don't know," I whispered back. "I don't know if I want to kiss you or scream at you or both." Her fingers tightened around mine. "Do both," she said. "Just don't walk away again." I didn't. We didn't kiss, not yet. But her hand stayed in mine until the coffee went cold and the sky turned the color of secrets. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, heart pounding, stomach twisted. I thought about telling her. About the scholarship.
The file.
The fact that she was only still here because I'd made sure no one ever saw what could have destroyed her. But the words stayed trapped in my throat. Because, what if she thought I did it for leverage? Or pity? What if she left? I wasn't ready for that.
Not now.
Not when her name felt like something sacred on my tongue. Not when the memory of her fingers still tingled in mine. The next week blurred by in a haze of stolen glances, long silences, and moments that pulsed with possibility. We studied together once, in the library, our knees brushing under the table. She started waiting for me after class. I started walking her to her building even when mine was across campus. We weren't anything, but we weren't nothing either. One night, she texted me, "I'm alone. Come over." I stared at the screen for a full minute before replying. "On my way." Her apartment was smaller than I expected.
Cozy.
Lived in. String lights over the couch, a worn blanket folded at the end. She opened the door barefoot, wearing an oversized sweater that hung off one shoulder. My heart nearly stopped. You came, she said. You asked, I replied. We didn't say much. She made tea. I barely drank mine. We sat on the couch, a movie playing in the background, but neither of us watched. Our knees touched, then our thighs, then our hands. And when she turned to face me, eyes wide and scared and wanting, I didn't wait. I leaned in and so did she. The kiss was soft at first.
Careful.
Like we were afraid we might break each other. Then it deepened. Slow and hot and desperate. Her fingers tangled in my hair, and mine curled around her waist, pulling her closer, until we weren't two people anymore but one aching, tangled thing made of breath and heat and everything we'd tried so hard to deny. We broke apart only when oxygen demanded it. She pressed her forehead to mine, panting softly. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too, I said. But I don't want to stop. Then don't. And we didn't. Not that night. Not until the weight of reality began to settle again. As she slept beside me later, curled against my chest like she belonged there, I stared at the ceiling and felt the truth clawing at the back of my throat. I'd saved her.
She didn't know. She still didn't know.
And I didn't know how long I could keep it from her. I hadn't planned to fall asleep next to her. I'd meant to leave before dawn, meant to slip out of her bed quietly, gently, before the warmth of her body and the press of her breath on my collarbone could brand themselves into my skin. But I stayed. Somewhere between the third kiss and the way she whispered my name like it was a confession, I stopped pretending I had control. And when the morning light began to stream through her thin curtains, casting pale gold across tangled sheets and skin, I was still there, wrapped around her like a secret I never wanted to let go of. Her lashes fluttered against her cheek before she opened her eyes, still hazy with sleep. She blinked once, then twice, and then her gaze found mine. You stayed, she whispered. I nodded, voice caught in my throat. Didn't want to wake you. Her hand traced slow, lazy lines across my bare shoulder. You always look like you're thinking too much. I am, I said. It's a habit. Think about this then, she murmured, leaning in and pressing a kiss just below my jaw, soft and slow and maddeningly tender. I like waking up next to you. I closed my eyes, let myself feel it. Just for a second. The weight of her, the truth of it. Her lips on my skin felt like a promise I didn't know how to keep. This can't be just nothing, she said, pulling back just enough to meet my eyes. Tell me it's not nothing. It's not, I breathed. And it wasn't. But it wasn't everything either. Not when I still carried the secret of her survival in the hollow of my chest. Not when she was looking at me like I was hers, and she didn't know I had already saved her once, silently, in the dark. What's wrong? She asked, brushing her fingers over my cheek. You keep drifting. I kissed her to stop the question, and it worked for now. That morning bled into a week of stolen time. We didn't label anything, didn't talk about what we were. But we fell into a rhythm. Coffee together before class. Notes passed during lectures. Study sessions that ended with her on my lap and books forgotten. Her laugh became my favorite sound. Her touch, my new religion. I started staying over more often. Clothes of mine began to appear in her drawer. She made fun of me for folding everything like I was training for a domestic life, but she didn't stop me. She even bought my favorite cereal without saying anything. And I let myself believe. For a moment, I let myself believe we could be something real. But the weight of what I knew never left me. It clung to me like a second skin, a quiet guilt that grew louder every time she looked at me like I was safety. Every time she spoke about her future, like it was guaranteed. Every time she said, I don't know what I'd do if I lost this place. One night, we were on her couch, limbs tangled, a movie forgotten in the background. Her head rested on my chest, fingers absent-mindedly tracing circles over my stomach. I got an email today, she said, voice soft. From the financial office. Just a confirmation about my status. Apparently everything's in order now. They said there was a clerical fix made a few weeks ago. My heart stopped. Oh, yeah. She shifted to look up at me. Weird, right? I didn't do anything. I was kind of freaking out about tuition last month, but now it's just solved. I forced a smile. Maybe someone caught the mistake. Maybe. Her brow furrowed. They didn't say who submitted the correction. It was anonymous. Does it matter? I asked, and instantly regretted how fast the words came out. She studied me, something sharp in her gaze. You know something, don't you? I looked away. Camila, tell me. It doesn't matter anymore. It's fixed. Tell me, she said again, sitting up, voice trembling. Please. I swallowed hard. I saw your file. I had access through the assistant program with Avery. I noticed the error. You were going to lose your aid. I fixed it before anyone else could see it. Silence. Cold, suffocating silence. You what? She whispered. I fixed it. I repeated. I couldn't let you lose your place here. So, you went behind my back? You read my file, made changes, and just decided I didn't need to know. I was trying to protect you. You were trying to control me. That's not fair, isn't it? She stood, arms crossed tightly. Did you think I couldn't handle the truth? That I'd be what, grateful? That you could swoop in and play the hero? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? I rose slowly, heart in my throat. It was watching someone I cared about face losing everything and knowing I could stop it. It was me choosing to help you, even if it meant you'd never know. I didn't want credit. I didn't want this. Liar, she hissed. You wanted to be the one who saved me. The one I needed. You didn't give me a choice. I stepped back, stung. Would you have rather I let you fall? I would have rather known the truth. The room felt too small. My skin felt too tight. I'm sorry, I said. I am. But I won't apologize for helping you. Then you don't get to be sorry, she snapped. You don't get to pretend this was all about me. It was about your guilt. Your pride. Not love. That's not true. Then why didn't you tell me? She demanded, voice breaking. Why did you lie every time I asked what you were thinking? I couldn't answer. Not in a way that would make it okay. She turned away, shoulders tense. I need space. Camila, please. Her voice was barely audible. Just go. I left. I didn't fight her on it. I walked out of her apartment and into the night and didn't look back. But as the door closed behind me, I felt it, like something precious had slipped through my fingers. Something I might never get back. The days after she asked me to leave blurred together in a kind of dull ache I couldn't shake. Like a bruise under my skin, I kept pressing just to make sure I could still feel something. I kept waiting for a message. A knock on my door. Anything. But silence was all I got. And silence, I was learning, was far more violent than shouting. Campus felt colder without her, like someone had drained the color from everything. I still saw her in class. Of course I did, but she didn't sit beside me anymore. She sat across the room, 3 seats away, eyes fixed on her laptop, not once turning toward me. And that silence, that distance, it carved into me. It didn't matter that I still wanted to reach for her. It didn't matter that I replayed our last conversation every night, searching for a different version of it that didn't end with her telling me to go. What mattered was that she had built a wall between us, and I had handed her every brick. I tried writing a message a dozen times. I never sent any of them. What could I even say? I'm sorry felt too small, too shallow. I miss you felt too selfish. I love you felt like a betrayal when I hadn't even told her the truth until it was too late. So I said nothing. And every day that passed, it felt harder to breathe. I started avoiding the places we used to go. I didn't go to the cafe anymore. I dropped my office hours with Avery. I sat in the back row of our classes, eyes down, hoping she wouldn't look at me. Terrified she wouldn't. My friends noticed.
Of course they did.
But I brushed them off, said I was just tired, said I was stressed about finals. None of them knew about her, about us. We'd kept it quiet, tucked away in the safety of private spaces and unspoken glances. And now, in the wake of it, I had no one to talk to, except my own thoughts, which were crueler than any enemy. The worst part was the dreams. The ones where I was back in her apartment, tangled in her sheets, her fingers tracing slow circles over my ribs. Dreams where she whispered my name and smiled that soft smile she never gave anyone else. I'd wake up reaching for her, only to find empty space and a cold pillow. And I'd lie there, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she was dreaming of me too, or if she was doing everything she could to forget. A week passed, then 2, then 3, and still nothing. No messages. No glance across the lecture hall. It was like I didn't exist anymore. Like everything we'd shared had been erased. But I couldn't let it go. I couldn't pretend it hadn't mattered. So I went back to the beginning, to the file. I stared at her name on the screen, the line of data I'd edited that had saved her academic life and wrecked our personal one. And for the first time, I wondered if I'd made it worse. Not the fix, no, I didn't regret that. But the lie, the silence, the choice to protect her from the truth instead of trusting her with it. She had told me, over and over, that she hated being controlled, that she was tired of people choosing for her. And I had done the same thing. No matter how good my intentions were, I had still taken the choice away from her. And she was right to be furious. The realization hit like a punch to the chest. I didn't just want to say sorry. I wanted to show her I'd hurt her, that I understood, that I was willing to do the hard thing, the honest thing, because she deserved that, even if it meant never getting her back. I closed the file and made my decision. The next day, I skipped class. I waited until the hour I knew she'd be at her favorite coffee shop, the one we'd gone to that day after class, when she'd touched my hand across the table and made me believe we could be something real. I sat in the back corner, hood up, nursing a lukewarm coffee, nerves chewing at my stomach. And then she walked in, alone, hair pulled into a loose bun, headphones around her neck, sleeves pushed up. She looked tired, beautiful, angry,
Sad.
human. My heart clenched. I waited until she ordered and sat down before standing, slowly, and walking over. She saw me before I reached her table. Her body went still. "Hey," I said, voice low. She didn't answer, just stared. I cleared my throat. "Can I sit?" She hesitated, then gave a tiny nod. I sat across from her, hands folded on the table, so she couldn't see how badly they shook. "I don't expect anything from this," I said. "I just needed to say some things, and I think you deserve to hear them." She watched me carefully, expression unreadable. "Okay." I took a breath. "I never wanted to hurt you.
I swear.
I saw the error in your file, and I panicked. I thought if I told you, you'd feel betrayed. Or ashamed. I told myself I was protecting you, but the truth is, I was scared. Scared of losing you. Scared of you thinking I did it to control you or prove something. So I stayed quiet. And that was a mistake. The worst one I've made."
She didn't speak.
I continued. "You told me you hate being treated like a problem to fix. And that's exactly what I did. I saw something I thought I could fix, and I didn't think about how that would feel for you. I thought I was helping, but I didn't trust you enough to handle the truth. And that's on me."
Not you.
Still, she was silent. But her jaw softened. Her hands unclenched. I kept going. "I miss you. Every second. But more than that, I respect you. And if you never want to see me again, I'll understand. I just needed you to know the truth. All of it." I stood then, not waiting for her to say anything. I couldn't. I had said everything I could. I turned to walk away. "Wait." Her voice cut through the air like a thread pulled taut. I stopped.
Slowly turned.
She was standing now too, arms crossed, eyes shining in a way that made my throat tighten. "That was the first honest thing you've said to me since this started." "I know. And the first time you looked me in the eye without trying to be right."
I'm not right, I said.
"I was wrong. So wrong." She exhaled. "You still hurt me." "I know. And I'm still angry." "You should be." She stepped closer. "But I never stopped thinking about you." My breath caught. "Camila, you saved me," she said. "But you didn't trust me. And now, I don't know what to do with that." I nodded. "You don't have to do anything. I just wanted you to know." She looked at me for a long time. And then, slowly, she reached out. took my hand, held it. "I'm not ready to forgive you yet," she said. "But I'm not ready to let you go either." Tears pricked the corners of my eyes. I nodded. "Then I'll wait. As long as you need." She smiled. "Just a little. Just enough." And for the first time in weeks, I felt something like hope. Not the easy kind. The kind you fight for. It didn't happen all at once. There was no grand apology scene, no passionate kiss under the rain, no dramatic rush into each other's arms. It was quieter than that. Slower. Like watching ice thaw under the warmth of sunlight. Imperceptible at first, but inevitable. After the cafe, we didn't talk for 2 more days. Then she sent me a text. "I'm going to the library. You can come if you want." That was all. No emojis. No heart. No smiley face. Just an invitation wrapped in caution.
And it was enough.
I went. She didn't look at me when I sat down across from her, but she didn't ask me to leave either. We didn't speak much, but the silence wasn't hostile anymore. It was tentative, like standing at the edge of something and waiting to see if it would hold your weight. I caught her watching me once, when she thought I wasn't looking. Her eyes were softer than I remembered.
Sadder.
But not angry. Not anymore. And that small shift unraveled something in me. That week became a new kind of rhythm. A different kind of gravity between us. She invited me to study again. Then we walked out together after class. She didn't hold my hand, but she didn't flinch when I brushed against her. We talked about assignments, about professors, about how much she hated oat milk but ordered it anyway because it makes me feel like I'm trying. I didn't push. I didn't beg. I let her set the pace. And slowly, piece by piece, she began to let me back in. One night, I found her sitting alone on the quad, knees pulled to her chest, hoodie drawn tight around her face. I didn't ask questions. I just sat beside her, silent. The wind was sharp, and the sky was dark with the promise of rain. After a while, she spoke. "My mom called today. Said she was proud of me. She should be." Camila let out a soft, humorless laugh. She doesn't know how close I was to losing everything. I wanted to tell her about what almost happened, but I didn't. Why not? Because then I'd have to explain how someone else saved me, and how I pushed that person away. I looked at her, the angle of her jaw, the way her hands twisted in her sleeves like she was trying to hold herself together. "You didn't push me away," I said. "You were protecting yourself. I was punishing you. Maybe. But you had every right to." She turned her head then, and for a long time, we just looked at each other. No accusations. No masks. Just 2 girls caught in the quiet gravity of almost. She reached out, hesitated, then tucked a piece of hair behind my ear. "I still don't know how to feel about what you did." "That's okay," I whispered. "I'm not asking you to forget. Just to let me try again." Her hand lingered against my cheek. "And what if I let you?" "Then I'll do it right this time." Something in her face cracked. Just a little. Just enough. She leaned forward, rested her forehead against mine. Our breaths mingled, soft and uneven. "I miss you," she whispered. "Every second." "Me too." The kiss didn't come that night, but her hand stayed in mine all the way back to her building. And when she looked at me before going inside, there was something like hope in her smile. Not certainty. Not yet. But the start of it. From there, everything moved like a tide we couldn't stop. We started spending time together again, not like before, not reckless or hidden or burning too fast, but with care. She'd sit beside me in class again. We'd eat lunch in the same corner of the student center, sharing fries and laughter like we hadn't been broken. We didn't talk about the night I left. We didn't talk about what we were becoming. But it was there. In the way she looked at me longer now. In the way she let her fingers brush mine when we walked side by side. In the way she started inviting me over again, not with flirtation but with familiarity. One evening, I came over to help her with the presentation. We sat shoulder to shoulder on her bed, laptops open, the glow of her desk lamp casting a golden hue over her skin. "You keep fidgeting," she said, nudging me with her elbow. "I'm not fidgeting. You are. It's cute." You think I'm cute when I'm anxious? No, she said, then smirked. I think you're cute all the time, but especially when you're trying not to touch me. I froze. She closed her laptop slowly, turning toward me. I know this is hard, she said, but I want you to stop pretending you don't want to be close to me. It's not that I don't want to, I whispered. It's that I don't know if I should. Then let me decide. She leaned in, her hand cupping my jaw, her thumb brushing the edge of my lip. Let me choose you this time. The kiss that followed wasn't like the first. It wasn't rushed or desperate. It was steady, deliberate, the kind of kiss that said I'm still here. I'm still trying. Her body shifted closer, legs sliding over mine, hands threading into my hair, and I let myself fall into her again. But this time, it wasn't escape. It was return. That night, we didn't rush. We didn't need to. We moved together slowly, rediscovering each other like pages in a familiar book we hadn't touched in too long. Every touch was a question. Every sigh, an answer. When we lay tangled in the aftermath, her head on my chest, she whispered, "Don't hide from me again." I won't. And if something happens, if I'm ever in danger of losing something, I want to know. Even if it hurts. I kissed her temple. I promise. She traced her fingers over my ribs, slow and soft. I don't want perfect. I want honest. Even when it's ugly. Then that's what I'll give you. She smiled, small and real. We're a mess. A beautiful one. Speak for yourself, she teased, yawning. I'm radiant. You're impossible. You like that about me. I really do. We fell asleep like that. No secrets. No lies. Just skin and breath and the knowledge that maybe we could do this. Maybe we could rebuild. The next morning, she woke me up with a kiss and made me coffee in one of her ridiculous mugs. It said hotter than my GPA, and she claimed it suited me. I rolled my eyes, but my heart felt light in a way it hadn't in weeks. And when we walked to class hand in hand, I didn't care who saw. She was next to me again. And for the first time, I let myself believe she'd stay. It started with a glance. One of those lingering, wide-eyed stares from a classmate who'd never spoken to me before but suddenly couldn't stop watching me walk into the lecture hall with Camila. Then came the whispers. Subtle at first, murmured behind notebooks, exchanged in hallway corners, too quiet to catch, but loud enough to feel. I tried to ignore it, told myself I didn't care what people thought, that we were stronger than the noise. But that was a lie, and both of us knew it. The campus wasn't huge. Words spread fast, and we hadn't exactly been subtle. Hand-holding. Study sessions that blurred into soft kisses in dim corners. Her head on my shoulder in the library. My hoodie on her frame as we left her building one morning, laughing like we hadn't been broken just weeks before. And then, of course, someone posted it. A blurry photo of us outside the cafe, her hand tangled in mine, both of us smiling like nothing could touch us. The caption wasn't cruel, but it didn't have to be. Did not see this coming, eyes Camila Torres and the TA? Bold move. It got 500 likes in an hour. I found out before she did. My phone blew up in the middle of my shift at the bookstore, group chats pinging, notifications stacking, classmates sending emojis like they knew me, like they had the right to comment on something that wasn't theirs to dissect. I didn't answer anyone, just stared at the screen and felt my stomach twist into knots. When I finally saw her that night, she looked tired, angry. Her phone was in her hand, face blank as she scrolled through messages. Guess we're a headline now, she said, not looking up. I'm sorry, I said. I should've. No, she interrupted. This isn't on you. We didn't do anything wrong. That doesn't mean people won't treat it like we did. She sat down on her bed, exhaling hard. My mom texted. Someone from church sent her the post. Said I was confused. Said I needed to come home. Shit. I'm not going, obviously, but it still hurts. I sat beside her, careful not to touch her without asking. Do you want to lay low for a while? Do you? I paused. I want to protect you, however that looks. But do you want to hide? Her voice was sharp, but not cruel. Just honest. because I won't. Not again. I looked at her, saw the steel behind her pain, the fire behind her fear. And I realized that no matter how badly this scared me, I didn't want to hide either. No, I said. I don't want to hide. She leaned against me, finally, her fingers tangling in mine.
Good.
Because I'm tired of pretending. The next day, we walked into class together, hand in hand. Every head turned. Some people smiled. Some didn't. Camila didn't flinch. She sat beside me like she always used to, crossed her legs, opened her notebook, and looked bored while the world stared. I admired her in that moment more than I ever had. But admiration didn't stop the fallout. 2 professors pulled me aside that week. Nothing formal, just friendly conversations about professionalism and optics. One of them hinted that my assistantship might be reconsidered next term. Camila overheard someone in the library say I was sleeping my way to a recommendation letter. I told her to let it go. She didn't. She walked right up to the girl and asked her to repeat herself.
She didn't.
And still, the damage was done. Camila started pulling away, not from me, but from everyone else. She stopped going out, stopped answering texts. She quit her extracurriculars. I watched the joy drain from her in pieces, like color bleeding from a photo. One night, I found her in her apartment, curled up on the couch with the lights off, eyes red, laptop closed beside her. They don't say it to my face, she said, voice hoarse. But I can feel it. The judgment. The disgust. Like I'm some kind of spectacle. I knelt beside her, brushing her hair back. You're not. You're just brave enough to be honest. They don't want honesty. They want a version of me they can stomach. Then fuck them, I whispered. They don't get to decide who you are. What if I'm tired of being brave, she whispered. What if I just want to be small? Quiet? Invisible? Then be that. With me. I'll hold the world off for as long as you need. She looked at me, eyes glassy. And if I break again? Then I'll help you rebuild. Every time. She pulled me into her arms, and I held her like I could shield her from everything. Like my body could be a barrier against the cruelty of people who didn't know her, who didn't deserve to. That night, she didn't let go. She fell asleep wrapped around me like a shipwrecked survivor clutching driftwood, and I stayed awake for hours, running my fingers through her hair, whispering promises I didn't know how to keep but would die trying to. In the days that followed, things didn't magically get better. People still whispered.
Professors still side-eyed me.
Her mom still sent passive-aggressive texts. But we stopped letting it win. Slowly, she returned to herself. She started painting again, abstract shapes and wild color. She dragged me to a spoken-word night at the student center and made me read one of my old poems. I almost threw up, but she clapped louder than anyone. We started making plans, not big ones, not yet, but soft ones. Summer internships, a trip after graduation, shared groceries, shared dreams. And then, one Friday night, as we lay tangled on her bed, she looked at me with something new in her eyes. Something fierce. I don't want to survive this, she said. I want to thrive. With you. You are, I whispered. We are. She kissed me then, slow and deep, like she was pouring every word she didn't know how to say into my mouth. And I kissed her back like I'd waited a lifetime for it. The storm hadn't passed, but we had learned how to dance in it. Together. It was a Wednesday when the email came. I remember because the sky was the color of steel and the air smelled like rain that never came, and because Camila had kissed me 3 times before I'd even finished my coffee. I was walking across campus, earbuds in, her voice still echoing in my chest from something stupid and sweet she'd whispered when I left her apartment that morning. And then my phone buzzed. I didn't check it right away. I had a meeting with Professor Avery in 20 minutes and was mentally rehearsing talking points for my final project. But the second buzz came. Then a third. By the time I reached the administration building, there were 6 new notifications. 1 from the assistantship group chat, 2 from unknown numbers, and 3 from university officials. My stomach twisted as I opened the first one. And then everything stopped. We've received an anonymous report alleging academic misconduct concerning your use of administrative access to student records. A review will be conducted, effective immediately. My legs nearly gave out. I stumbled into a bench outside the entrance, heart slamming so hard it blurred my vision. I read the message again.
And again.
Academic misconduct. Student records. It wasn't a random accusation. It was the thing. The secret I thought had died months ago, the one I confessed to Camila that I thought we had left in the past. But now it was back. And this time it had claws. I didn't know how long I sat there, staring at the screen. Long enough for the clouds to darken. Long enough for the buzz of campus life to fade into static. Long enough for my hands to go numb. The review meant they were investigating, which meant someone had access to the audit trail in the file system, which meant they knew, not just what I did,
but when.
And possibly why. I didn't text Camila. I couldn't. I needed to get ahead of it. I went straight to Avery's office. He wasn't surprised to see me. He always said I had good timing. But when I told him about the report, his expression changed. "This is serious," he said, voice tight. "Do you know who might have submitted it?" No, I lied. But deep down, a name surfaced.
Cold.
Familiar.
Nate.
The same Nate who had shown up at the party that night months ago. The one Camila's mother had tried to set her up with. The one who had quietly hovered at the edges of her life, never fully disappearing.
He was petty.
Jealous. And close enough to the Torres family to want revenge. "You need to be honest," Avery said. "Did you alter a student file?" I nodded, throat tight.
Yes.
But it wasn't malicious. It was to correct a clerical error that would have cost her everything. I didn't benefit. I didn't gain anything. I didn't want her to suffer for a mistake that wasn't hers. "You understand how this looks?" I nodded again. "I do."
He sighed.
"I'll do what I can, but you'll need to prepare for a formal hearing." I thanked him and left, my mind spinning. I should have gone home, should have curled into a corner and cried. But my feet carried me to her. Camila opened the door with her usual smile, one that faded instantly when she saw my face. "What happened?" I walked past her into the apartment. The air smelled like cinnamon and lavender. Safe. I turned to face her. "They know." Her expression froze.
What?
"About the file.
About what I did.
Someone reported it. An investigation's been opened." "Oh my God." She stepped closer, voice barely a breath. "What do we do?" "I don't know. I met with Avery. He's going to try to support me, but there's a chance I could lose everything. The assistantship. My credits. My spot here." "No," her voice sharpened, fierce. "No, you won't. This is bullshit. You didn't do anything wrong." I broke protocol. To protect me. It doesn't matter why. Not to them. She paced the room, hands in her hair. "This is Nate. It has to be. He's the only one who knew about us before we went public. He probably still talks to my mom. I can't accuse him without proof." "Then we'll find proof," she said, eyes blazing. "Because I'm not letting you take the fall for this alone." "Camila, no." She crossed the space between us, grabbed my hands. "You did something selfless. You risked your future for mine. And now it's my turn. It's not your responsibility." "Yes, it is. Because I love you." The words landed with a force I wasn't ready for. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. "I love you," she said again, softer now. "And if I let you go down for this without fighting, I'll never forgive myself." I pulled her into my arms and held her like I was drowning. "I love you too," I whispered. "So much it hurts." She clung to me like I was something sacred. And for the first time since the email, I felt like I could breathe again. The next few days were a storm. We pulled records, looked for names in access logs, talked to the few people we trusted. Camila dug through old texts from Nate, searching for anything she could use to tie him to the report. Meanwhile, I drafted a statement. I didn't lie. I laid it all out. The error, the fix, the motive. I didn't name Camila, didn't frame it as a favor to a lover. I framed it as an act of integrity. of mercy, of humanity. Avery helped me polish it. And when the day of the hearing came, I stood in front of the board with shaking hands and a steady voice. I expected Camila to stay behind, to protect herself, but she showed up anyway. She walked into that sterile room with her head held high, took a seat behind me, and stared the board members down like they were beneath her. Her presence gave me strength. The hearing lasted 90 minutes. I spoke. Avery spoke. They asked questions, took notes. I didn't look at Camila again, not until it was over. When they dismissed me, I stepped outside, breath ragged. She followed me out. "You were amazing," she said. I was terrified. "You didn't show it. I kept thinking of you." "Good," she said. "Keep doing that." We didn't know the verdict that day. They said they'd deliberate. Send an official response within 48 hours. So we waited. Together. For 2 days, we lived like the world was paused. We watched movies, ate takeout, made love like it was the last time. And when the email came, we read it together. After review, the board has concluded that while there was a breach in protocol, the context of the incident does not suggest malicious intent. The assistantship will be suspended for 1 term, but no permanent academic penalties will be applied. Camila screamed. I cried. We held each other in the middle of her living room, laughing through tears, shaking with relief. We had survived. Not just the scandal, not just the judgment, but the fire of our own making. And when I looked at her that night, curled into my chest, I realized something. We were no longer just rebuilding what we had. We were building something new, something stronger. It was strange how fast peace could settle in after chaos. After the hearing, after the decision, after the weight of fear finally lifted from our shoulders, the silence that came wasn't empty. It was soft.
Healing.
I didn't realize how much noise I'd been carrying in my chest until it was gone. Camila and I spent the next few weeks letting ourselves exist in that quiet. No battles. No masks. Just us. We studied in her bed, legs tangled under the blanket, laptops warming our thighs while she made ridiculous commentary about our professor's wardrobe choices. We cooked together once, nearly burned the pasta, then ordered takeout and danced in her tiny kitchen to an old reggaeton playlist she swore was ironic. We didn't hide anymore. Her hand found mine, without hesitation now. She kissed me in public. We sat in the quad, sharing headphones, ignoring the people who still stared. Most had moved on. New gossip had replaced us. And the ones who still looked at us with judgment? We didn't care. Not anymore. But peace, I was learning, didn't mean safety. It didn't mean we'd made it to the end. It just meant we were strong enough to breathe while waiting for the next storm. And the next storm came the week before finals. Camila's mom showed up. It wasn't planned. There was no warning. I was walking back from the library when she called. "She's here," she whispered, voice tight. "My mom."
She's downstairs.
She said she wants to talk. My heart stuttered. "Do you want me to come?" "No," she said quickly. Then softer. "Not yet." I spent the next 2 hours pacing my room, phone in my hand, trying not to imagine the conversation happening behind her closed door. When she finally called back, her voice was raw. "Come over," she said. "Please." I ran. When she opened the door, her eyes were red. Her hands were shaking.
She didn't speak.
Just pulled me into her arms and held on like the only solid thing left in her world.
I didn't ask.
I didn't need to, but eventually she told me anyway. She said she still loves me, Camila whispered, but that she doesn't understand me, that she doesn't know how to support this version of me. "There's nothing wrong with who you are." She thinks there is. Then she's wrong. Camila pulled back just enough to look at me. She told me to come home for the summer. Alone. She said maybe space would clear my head. "And what did you say?" She exhaled, eyes shining. I told her I'm already home. That night, we didn't talk much. We lay in bed, skin to skin, her breath soft against my collarbone. I kissed every inch of her that shook, every place where the words still stung. And she let me, quietly,
Completely.
like she was learning how to let someone love her without permission. The next morning, I woke up before her. She looked peaceful again, for the first time in days. I watched her sleep, the way her lashes fluttered slightly, the way her fingers stayed curled around mine even in dreams. And I realized something then. I didn't just love her. I wanted a life with her. I wanted Sunday mornings and late-night phone calls and shared laundry and arguing over movie genres. I wanted her laughter in my kitchen, her books on my shelf, her name written into every part of my future. Later that day, after finals, we sat outside under a tree near the East Garden, her legs over mine, our backs against the trunk. The sun was warm. The breeze smelled like summer. "I've been thinking," I said, nervous. "Dangerous," she murmured. "Rude," I shot back. She smiled. "Okay, I'm listening. What if we spent the summer together? Not just weekends or visits. All of it." Her eyes widened. "Like, live together?" "I know it's fast. And we haven't talked about it. But I want to wake up with you every morning. I want to build something with you. I'm not saying forever, but I'm saying I want more." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she leaned in, kissed me once, slow and deep and full of something warm. I want more too. So we made plans. Small ones at first. We found a sublet near the city where I'd gotten a research internship. She started applying for gallery assistant spots nearby. We made spreadsheets and grocery lists and arguments over who would do the dishes. We made a world. Together. And it felt so real. So close. Until the letter arrived. One thin envelope. Camila's name on it. No return address. She opened it in front of me, brows furrowed. I watched her read it once. Then twice. Her face went pale. "What is it?" I asked, stomach tightening. She handed it to me without a word. My hands shook as I read. It wasn't signed, but it didn't need to be. "You may think you've won, but people don't forget. Some things aren't meant to be. And sooner or later, she'll see through you." It wasn't just cruel. It was personal, calculated, designed to hurt. "It's him," I whispered. "It has to be. There's no proof. That doesn't mean it's not him. Or it's my mother," she said quietly. "Or someone else she talks to. Someone trying to scare me back into a version of myself they can accept." "It won't work," I said, fierce. "We won't let it." But the letter did what it was meant to. It shook us. Not apart, but enough to feel the tremble in the foundation. That night, Camila was quiet, restless. She kept checking the locks, looking out the window. I held her as tightly as I could, but I could feel the fear pressing against her skin. "I won't let anyone take this from us," I said. "You hear me?" She nodded, eyes closed. "I'm just tired of fighting." "Then let me fight for you." "You already did." "Then let me do it again. As many times as it takes." She looked at me then, something fierce in her gaze. "We go to the police." "Okay. We report it. We make a statement. We don't hide. Not this time. I'm with you." We filed the report the next morning. It didn't go anywhere, not yet. But the act of doing it felt like reclaiming something. Our safety. Our voice. Our right to love without fear. And that night, Camila looked at me and said, "If you still want to live together this summer, I'm in. But I want you to know something." "What?" "This isn't about escape for me. It's not about running away from judgment or family or hate. It's about running toward you." I swallowed hard. "Then let's run." The apartment was small, barely more than a living room, kitchen, and one sunlit bedroom. But to us, it was everything. The couch was secondhand, the dishes mismatched, and the water pressure in the shower was laughable. But the light came in golden in the mornings, and the floor creaked in the same place every time Camila danced barefoot in the kitchen, and the walls held our laughter like they'd been waiting for it. We moved in on the first Saturday of June. No ceremony, no big declarations. Just 2 duffel bags, 1 borrowed car, and her voice humming along to the radio as we hauled boxes up the stairs. I don't think I stopped smiling the entire day. The first night, we ordered pizza and ate it on the floor, wine in chipped mugs, her legs stretched across mine, her curls wild from the heat. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. Her hand found mine, her eyes found mine, and that was enough. That was everything. Summer unfolded around us like a secret, slow and rich and golden. Camila found a job at a small gallery downtown. She came home smelling like paint and old wood, her eyes glowing with ideas, her fingers always stained with color. I spent my days in the archives at the research center, knee-deep in dusty journals and half-forgotten records, chasing stories that had been waiting to be heard. We built a rhythm. Morning coffees on the fire escape. Sticky notes on the fridge with bad puns and tiny hearts. Weekend walks to the farmer's market. Grocery lists scribbled on napkins. Sunday nights with jazz records spinning and her head in my lap, telling me about the way light hit the canvas differently that day.
We fought sometimes.
About dishes. About sleep schedules. About the way I always left cabinet doors open, and the way she used 5 different alarms to wake up. But the fights didn't scare me. Not like before. Not now. Because even in the heat of anger, even in the sharp edge of frustration, there was love. Steady. Unshaken.
Ours.
One night, near the end of July, I found her on the balcony, knees pulled to her chest, eyes fixed on the stars. I joined her, my hoodie around her shoulders, my fingers brushing her bare ankle. "What are you thinking about?" I asked. "That I never thought I'd get here," she whispered. "That I spent so long being who everyone wanted me to be, I forgot what it felt like to just exist." I pressed a kiss to her temple. "You exist beautifully. Even when I'm messy? Especially when you're messy." She smiled, soft and a little sad. "You know, my mom called again. She's trying. It's slow. But she said she wants to meet you." My breath caught. "Really? Don't freak out. It's not tomorrow."
But yeah.
She asked if you liked empanadas. I laughed. "I love empanadas." "You're such a liar," she teased. "You hate cilantro." "I'll eat an entire field of cilantro for you." "You're ridiculous." "You love it." "I really do." And then she kissed me. No rush. No need. Just lips on lips. A quiet yes, a homecoming. That night, we made love like the world had stopped spinning.
Slow.
Gentle. Reverent. Every touch a promise. Every breath a vow. I traced constellations on her back with my fingertips. She whispered poetry into my skin. And when we fell asleep, wrapped in sweat and sheets and soft gasps of each other's names, I dreamed of forever. August came faster than we wanted. My internship ended. Her job wrapped its summer rotation. School loomed again in the distance. But for the first time, it didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a continuation. Like everything before had just been a prologue. One night, while we sat on the roof, watching the city shimmer in the distance, she turned to me and said, "Do you think we'll still be like this in 5 years?" I looked at her, hair curled from the humidity, eyes glowing in the twilight, and felt the answer deep in my bones. Yes. Even when life gets hard again. Especially then. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "I want a future with you. Not just the good parts. All of it." "Then we'll have it," I said. "We'll build it. Promise." Promise. Fall arrived with crisp mornings and new classes. We moved back to campus but kept the apartment, our place just for weekends, just for us. We hung photos on the walls. Our first grocery list. A print from her gallery. A dried flower from a walk that had ended in a kiss. People stopped whispering. Or maybe we just stopped caring. We built a life, not perfect, but real. True. We laughed. We grew. We fought. We made up. And through it all, we chose each other. Every day. Every minute. Every moment. One night, nearly a year later, we sat on that same roof again, wrapped in blankets, mugs of tea in hand. I turned to her, heart racing, a tiny box heavy in my pocket. "Camila," I said. She looked at me. "Yeah, I want to keep choosing you. Forever." Her eyes widened. "Are you?" "I don't have a ring," I said, voice shaking. Not yet, but I have this. I pulled out the box and opened it to reveal a thin silver bracelet, engraved with the words, "I would do it all again." She stared at it, then at me, and then tears filled her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, before I could even ask. "Yes, yes, yes." I slipped it onto her wrist, and she kissed me like I'd given her the stars. And maybe I had. Or maybe she'd been the stars all along. We didn't get there easily. We fought. We broke. We burned. But we also healed. We listened. We grew. And in the end, love wasn't the grand gestures or the perfect moments. It was this: choosing each other, again and again, even when it was hard, especially then. Camila once told me we were a mess. And maybe we were, but we were our mess. Beautiful.
Fierce.
Unshakable. And I wouldn't change a single thing. Thank you so much for your support, whether it's by liking, commenting, sharing, or sending your super thanks. You make all the difference here on the channel. See you in the next video.